It is June exploitation.
June exploitation.
Day 2, Westerns Day. And we are here. Oh wow. Okay. Is Westerns Day. We are going to be talking about a movie that came on at least my radar from Patrick's recommendation from last year. I think he had it as one of his honorable mentions of his best of the year list, and that is Old Henry, starring Tim Blake Nelson as a mysterious farmer, maybe, or more, I don't know. And him and his son, they take in a injured man and nurse him back to health. Meanwhile, this man's got some secrets, this man's got some enemies, and those enemies find Old Henry, the titular hero of our movie, and want this guy back. And it kind of sets up an assault on Precinct 13 scenario, and mayhem ensues from there. And the leader of this team of bandits is the one and only Steven Dorff. So this was my first time watching Old Henry, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I would love to hear what Rob thinks of
it. We haven't done like an introduction like that in so long. I was like listening, like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just figured like maybe unlike, hey, we're talking about Patriot games, like people might not know what Old Henry is. So.
Yeah. No, this is definitely, as you said, this was something that was on my radar last year during award season, and I just didn't get around to it. I didn't get a screener for it. I don't remember why I didn't see it, but I kept hearing that it was a good movie. I kept telling me, obviously, we all love Tim Blake Nelson. Can't go wrong. He's one of those guys that always makes something better. So yeah, I was eager to kind of get around to. So when you said Western Day, I was like, I didn't see that last year. We should do that one. And I really loved it. I love bottle episodes. I love movies set in one location for the most part. I was thinking as I was watching this, somewhere in the lore of Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's that quote from Spielberg where he says, like, we wanted to make a movie with all the boring parts cut out. And I was like, this is a Western with all the boring parts cut out. This just goes, it's like an hour and 32 minutes or something like that. But it doesn't lose any of the the sort of reflective character moments. It's got a really nice little character arc for the lead character, which I guess spoiling is not worth it for this. I don't know.
It was a cool enough revelation where I wouldn't want to like ruin the surprise for people. It was something that made an interesting movie that much more interesting.
Because I think so much of the reveal, and again, I know it's annoying for us to talk around. If you haven't seen Old Henry, there's a reveal at the end that's very interesting that I think does a lot of the character work that the movie doesn't need to do, because it knows it's going to do it at the end. Because there's a certain familiarity to it. So you're like, okay, well, so I know enough about Western archetypes to know sort of the silent hero, the repentant, like, the former gunslinger, we think maybe who wants to wants to raise his son better. I'm thinking like Unforgiven, like I'm thinking a lot about like Western tropes that we've seen in the past, and all the familiar character archetypes are there, as you said. All it's pastoral, it's really beautifully lit, and we recognize every single one of these tropes in the movie, but they all are done really effectively. Like it's a solid pizza pie, this movie. Like it's like that was really well done. There's nothing new, it's nothing revolutionary or anything like that, but like that was there was some good cheese on that pizza. That was a solid slice.
I really like independent low budget westerns, because there's still a lot of kind of gravy that you can get out of that. Like it's not a genre I think that's dependent on having a massive budget with big stars and everything like that. Because I'm thinking in recent years, like, Andrew Dominic's like assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, or Slow West with Michael Fassbender and Cody Smith-McPhee. Like these movies that are very, character based and like just about kind of mercurial characters and everything like that. And we get to sort of like understand, how their personalities kind of mirror like their existence, which is just everything is kind of a gray area. So there's a lot of, gamesmanship and kind of manipulation and things like that. And like Old Henry's kind of part and parcel to that group. So I really like that. And then also I've always been a fan of Steven Dorff, even though he's sort of has kind of fallen out of favor at times. I think he's kind of a little bit more well respected than he maybe was like 10, 15 years ago. But his heat was mostly from like the beginning of his career. And I think that this might be his best performance I've seen of his since Somewhere, that my beloved Sofia Coppola movie from 2010. But I think like he really kind of, blends into this character, like where it's not, I feel like I'm watching like a Steven Dorff, like playing cowboy type of performance. Like I feel like this is a very kind of, like conniving, like gross, like bank robber type. And I don't know. I just found him to be like a really charismatic villain. And I think that balancing that with sort of the, I won't say low energy, but sort of like cool energy of Tim Blake Nelson, and he's doing that by purpose, that like we later learn why he is the way that he is, and he's kind of playing it one way. It's sort of like a Wolverine Logan type situation.
Yeah.
And I really liked sort of their dynamic. I thought that was really good.
And I think all three of the lead male character, well, they're all male characters, but as you said, the Tim Blake Nelson doing the sort of those who speak don't know, those who know don't speak type character, where he's just quiet, he's a there's scenes, which I was just looking up his name, the injured sheriff character, Scott Hayes.
Mhm.
His energy, because there's that ambiguity to their identities at the beginning, between Curry and the Steven Dorff character, where you're not sure which one is who. You know what I mean? Like, one guy says he's the lawman, the other guy says he's a bank robber. They swap back and forth. And as far as Tim Blake Nelson's concerned, it's not really clear which one is which. And so as he starts to suss that out, the audience is sort of sussing that out as well, which also kind of has to do with the reveal at the end. And the Steven Dorff character, I think too, as you mentioned, like he's not just swinging dick, because we don't know right away who he actually is. He reveals himself to be one or the other later on, but he does a nice job, as you said, sort of modulating his performance so that he could go either way.
Yeah.
So as you say, he's not just like layering on the cream cheese really thick, and just being like blah blah blah. He's doing something really intentional and something really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that balancing of all the three main characters, and then you have the son character, who's sort of, he's the sort of typical Western son of like, Dad, I want to do more, sort of that more greenhorn kind of character.
Yeah.
He wants to get in the game. He wants to, and the dad, of course, understands, like, no, you can't. I can't let you do that. I've worked all this time not to let you do that. And the way that escalates in the sort of assault at the end of the movie, I think it's interesting for his characterization as well. So it's a really nice like balancing. At some point I kept thinking of like, plates spinning. And at one point, like, all the plates are kind of spinning at the same speed. At one point, and kind of in harmony. It's a really nice, like, subtle execution of something that could easily have gotten a little bit too, I think, one way or the other. Could have gone a little bit too aggressive with the violence. Like, I was actually hoping at one point there's a violence scene that's more suggested in the audio than shown. And I was hoping, like, I hope they don't go too far. Like, I don't want this to be John Wick. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be subtle. I want it to be sort of suggested. And they, for the most part, I think, do that. There's a little bit of graphic stuff at the end, but it pays off.
I'm glad that you brought up the John Wick thing, because that is something that I thought of at one point during the third act, where it's like, this is kind of, it's too dismissive for me just to be like, well, it's kind of like a Western, like John Wick, but like there is, a secret, there's like a little compartment where if you pry open the wood, and like there's a box inside, and it has like all of your,
there's a lot of parallels.
There's a lot of parallels there and stuff. And like also, this Tim Blake Nelson character is not who you would immediately think of as, the I forgot what the name of they call John Wick in John Wick, where it's like this moniker. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's a formula that works. And like until it stops working, I'm not going to hold it against a movie for using it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the thing. Is like it's one of those movies that's just very much like it had its sights exactly where it wanted to go. It didn't
Yep.
really bother with anything else, and there you go. It's one of those things. I remember thinking on Twitter during award season, I kept seeing people refer to it as like a really, really good little movie, and I kept thinking of like when we use the phrase "little movie" in a way that's
Yeah.
not necessarily condescending, but just like, no, this is a good example of like this is a good little movie. It's a little
Yeah.
movie. It's got a little plot and it's got a little setting and it's got a little character and it's like and that's it. It's a little movie.
Well,
Um,
I also just love that there's like a place for the quote unquote good little movie. Like it makes it more exciting because like movies like this need to exist. Like these need to be around more often. Whereas I've got on my soapbox most recently on Twitter like this weekend, but like there's been I think like an overinflation of kind of average to good movies where it's sort of we've lost what the middle is and we sort of like don't know, there's left of center or right of center. There's like, kind of like ambitious failures is left of center. Then there's the center, which is like this is a good movie. And then there's right of center, which is something like Old Henry, which is just like this is a little bit better than, just good, but it's not like one for the ages, but like we need movies like this. And for a discovery for and that's kind of what June exploitation is all about. Is you're looking for kind of these hidden gems that you might not have seen unless having a genre defined day for you to single it out. I think this is a good one. We'll be back next week with another June exploitation themed review. It is going to be for Monsters Day. And I don't know, Rob, do you have any monster movies offhand that you want to watch?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll find something. Maybe
I
we'll.
had an idea, but I think like this it might be a fun video, but it might be hell to sit through.
Okay. The video might be hell to sit through, or the movie might be hell to sit through.
Well, I'll let our audience decide if these videos are hell to sit through, but I don't think I, I think a
Your
Godzilla
significant.
98 review might be kind of interesting.
All right.
But then we would have to watch Godzilla 98.
I mean, what are we doing? Let's if we're doing it, let's do it. I'm in. All right. So
All right.
next week, Godzilla '98 for Monsters Day. Locked in.
Yes.
Turn the key.
That's a lot of fish.
That's a lot, that's a lot of fish. Until Monster Day.
Keep your Junes exploitating.
Hashtag. Is this still hashtag or is this something different now? Is this
I
something?
don't know.
I hope it's
I'm
not.
just making hand signals. Yeah.